Hello, Mormon Truther here, and today I'm going to ask a question. Does Christianity, mainstream Christianity that is, such as Methodist, Baptist, so on and so forth, all the way back the line to Catholicism, does Christianity prove the Mormon Church right? Now, mainstream Christianity will argue that the Mormon Church is wrong. They're professing to be the one true church is bogus. They can't be the one true church for this reason or that reason, blah, blah, blah. But if we get down to the nitty gritty and we really look at Christian history, does it in fact prove the LDS right? And here's what I'm getting at here. Let's go all the way back to before Catholicism. When Jesus still walked the earth, he conducted his ministry, had his 12 disciples. He died on the cross, rose on the third day, ascended to heaven. His apostles carried on with the work until they were all killed off. And then Christians began to be killed off by the Romans. And then eventually the Romans embraced Christianity and formed the Roman Catholic Church in the early 300s with the Council of Nicaea, and at which point you had well over 300 scriptures, or holy writings, however you want to call it, that consisted of potentially biblical writings. And during the Council of Nicaea, it was discussed what would be put in, what would be put away, what would be public, what would be private, what would be the acceptable format and belief system for this, quote, new religion, the Roman Catholic Church, and what scriptures would be available to the public. Well, many principles and writings were agreed upon that would be taught to the public, others were put away, and the Bible, as it's now known today, or the holy writings, were taught to the public in sermons by the Catholic priesthood up until the 14, 15, and 1600s, when these writings began to be translated and made public into the Douay-Rheims, the standard KJV, the King James Version of the Bible, and so forth. At which point, only certain writings made it in. There was, the traditional Bible has, I believe, 27 books in it. The Douay-Rheims Bible has those same 27 books, in addition to several other Old Testament books that were actually removed by Martin Luther, the founder of the Protestant movement, and that is the base format for the King James Version of the Bible. So you have the Catholic Bible that has more scriptures in it than the standard Christian Bible, whether you read KJV, New American Standard, or what have you, and both of which originated from what is known to be over 300 holy writings, most of which are locked away in the Vatican and are not public. So you have to ask yourself, if Christianity is true, then why are all these holy writings locked away and not public? What is not being told to the Christian community, whether Catholic or what have you? And how can it be right, knowing that all these holy writings are locked away, possibly containing additional truths and ideas and principles and practices and so on that are not public knowledge? So at which point you now have to back up to post-Christianity, before Jesus Christ, back in the Old Testament, when the Jews and the Pharisees were doing the same thing that religious leaders are doing today, suppressing the Word of God or changing the Word of God to suit their own agendas. And what happened every time that the Jewish leaders did this? God would spank them, right? God would come down and he would spank them, and before that he would send a prophet to try to get the people back on track. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But at the end of the day, God will find a way to restore the truth. Now, if that's the way it was in olden times, and God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, as per the teachings of every religious institution, whether you're Jewish, Christian, Catholic, Mormon, or what have you, if God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and he did this back then, and the same thing is happening now, would God not respond in the same manner? To send a prophet to fix things. And if things are a mess, and God hasn't sent a prophet as he did in the old times, would that not imply that God is changing? And thus he is not the God of the Bible that we all desperately cling to? I mean, it's a good question. And then you have the issue of apostasy. Christianity argues that there was no apostasy, that God's church would never again be taken from the earth. However, it mentions numerous times in the Bible of not only an apostasy, but also a restoration of the Word of God in the last days. So, if there was no apostasy, then are we not saying that the Bible and its writings are wrong? Are we not contradicting the Bible? If there was no apostasy, then the predictions from the Old and New Testament depicting this apostasy and restoration of the Word of God is a lie. And thus God is a liar. And if you're a Christian, again, or even just a believer in God, you cannot accept the notion that God is in fact a liar. So, which is it? Either the Bible is right and this apostasy and restoration had to have occurred or will occur, at which point technically if the restoration has not occurred, then the church and Christianity in itself is still an apostasy, or God is a liar. So, it begs the question. If God is telling the truth, and the Bible is sound in these predictions, would it not stand to reason that we are either in an apostasy presently, and will soon have the restoration as per the prophecies in Revelations, with the angel carrying the everlasting gospel, or it has already in fact happened and the church has been restored, at which point you have to give very serious consideration to these issues. Now, I will not sit here and say that I am right and you are wrong. I will not play this, my church is better than your church, my church is right, your church is wrong. I will not do that, and I will never do that. I will merely present the idea and allow you to make your own determination. I'm all about thinking. So let's think about this. Think about what I just said and the points that I brought up. It's worth thinking about. Till next time, I am and will always be the Mormon truther. Like me or hate me, I say it like it is. So until next time, let's keep on debating.